Hey, good afternoon. My name is Curtis. Welcome to Guitar Basics class. I work for the Tim D. Lee Senior Center, formerly known as the East Cobb Senior Center. And we're just glad to have you today. So we're just going to jump right into it. If you're new to guitar, I would like to go over all the parts and the working pieces of the instrument. We'll go from top to bottom. Piece up here, we've got the headstock, which holds the tuning keys. These keys here are the tuning keys. They hold the strings, they tighten the strings to where we can tune the instrument. The headstock is attached to the neck. We have the neck here. On top of the neck, we have a fretboard. Sometimes they are made out of rosewood, sometimes they're made out of maple, so yours may be a different color than mine. And these little metal bars that go across the fretboard, these are actually your frets, and we'll be using those quite often. At the top of the fretboard here, this here is called the nut. That holds all the strings in place. Then we have the body of the guitar, the sound hole. This piece here is called the bridge, and the strings sit on top of a saddle that is also attached to the bridge. And those are all the main parts of the acoustic guitar. I've got a few diagrams I need to show you. We're going to be getting into some chord charts, and I think you may have been emailed this diagram here, which shows all the names of the strings and the numbers of the strings, and I'll go over that with you real quick. It's real important that you memorize the names of the strings, what notes they are, and the numbers of the strings. The very top string up here is an E note. This string right below it is the A note. The string below it is a D note. The string below it is a G note. The string below it is the B note, and the bottom string here, the smallest one, is also another E note. And the way these are numbered, it's kind of backwards. The small string is your number 1 string. Second string is the one right above it. Third string is above that. It goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And also, your fingers are numbered as well. And this is important when we get to a chord chart. Your index finger is finger number 1. Your middle finger is number 2. Ring finger is number 3, and your pinky is number 4. So what we're going to do, we're going to go ahead and get tuned up. If you have a chromatic tuner, I've got one that attaches to the headstock here. And we're going to be in standard tuning. And there again, this chart here will tell you what notes each string needs to be. So we'll go ahead and get tuned up here, starting with string number 6. So if you don't have a tuner, you can kind of, if you can hear the guitar here, I'll get a little closer. That way you can get in tune with my guitar. Of course, this is string number 6, or the E note. One thing you want to remember when you're tuning your guitar, you always want to be tightening the string. You don't want to loosen it when you're tuning, because if you loosen it, as soon as you start playing it, it's going to go right back out of tune. So you want to be tightening the string when you're tuning. So that's the E note. Then we'll go to the number 5 string. This is going to be the A. That one's good. We're going to go to the 4th string, which is the D note. That one's a little sharp. All right, then we're going to go to the G note and the number 3 string. That one's good. B note, that one sounds good there. And then the number 1 string is the E note. All right, so your guitar tuned up, all the open notes, it should sound like this if you want to strum along with me. And also, if you don't have a chromatic tuner, if you have a mobile device, you can go online, and there are plenty of apps, that you can download for free that are guitar tuners. That would be the most economical way. These tuners here run about $20 if you don't have one and you'd like to have one like this. So what we're going to do, we're going to go ahead and just jump right into some chord structures, and we're just going to go ahead and start playing. All right, I believe there was a few documents that were emailed out to everybody. You should have. This here is the way we read these chord charts. If you were to hold your guitar straight up like this, this represents the neck and the fretboard of the guitar. So when you see a dark, a bold line at the top, that represents the nut of the guitar here. All right. And then the chart itself here, you see these little circles. These lines here represent each fret. So you've got fret number 1, fret number 2, fret number 3. And the circles here are the strings that your fingers are going to be on. And inside the circles are numbers. That represents the number of your finger going on that particular string. So for example, the E chord here, it's showing that the number 1 finger is going to be placed on the number 3 string of the 1st fret. I'm trying to show you right here. All right, so that's going to be the first finger you put on there is the number 1, your index finger on the 1st fret, 3rd string. Then your number 2 finger right here is going to go on the 5th string, 2nd fret. And then your 3rd finger is going to be the 4th string, 2nd fret. So I'll give you just a minute to kind of get this. This is what it should look like. So I'll give you a few minutes to kind of get that that chord shape down. Another thing to remember, I don't know if you can see how my fingers are, they're kind of arched up over the fretboard. If you lay your fingers flat, what's going to happen, you're just going to get a really bad sound out of it. So try to get your fingers to arch up and over the fretboard. So the E chord, when you have it, when you have all your fingers in the right positions, what we're going to do, we're just going to strum it, start making some music. And what I want you to do is just pick one string at a time. See how all those notes were very crisp and very clear. That's the way it should sound. And you may have trouble. A lot of times your fingers will touch strings that they're not supposed to touch. That's why I encourage you to just pluck one string at a time. That way, if you hit a sour note, you'll know what string you need to work on and what finger you may need to adjust. So what we're going to do, just go and pick one string at a time. And then once you get all of those notes really nice and clean, then you can take and just really strum it nice and smooth. One nice smooth motion. Back up so you can see it here. All right, so if your hand starts to cramp, and it probably will, matter of fact, I know it will, your fingertips are going to become sore as well. But if you start getting a cramp in your hand, just take a moment to, work out the, the pain. My hand even, gets sore from time to time. And then just go back to that E chord. So let's rest our hands for a second. Then place those fingers on the appropriate strings. Again, number 1 finger is on the number 3 string on the very first fret. Now, you don't want to put your finger on top of the fret, but just above it. You don't want to be touching the fret because you'll get a kind of just a real dull, not a real nice crisp note. But just above that, that's what it should sound like. All right, so number 1 finger, 3rd string, 1st fret. Number 2 finger is going to be on the 5th string of the 2nd fret. And then your 3rd finger is going to be on the 4th string of the 2nd fret. So your 2nd and 3rd fingers kind of crammed together there. So with time, it'll become much easier, to place your fingers where they need to go. The more you do it, you'll develop muscle memory, and it'll be second nature. You'll be able to go and just hit that chord, without even thinking about it. All right, so 1st finger, 3rd string, 1st fret, 2nd finger, 5th string on the 2nd fret, and then 3rd finger on the 4th string, 2nd fret. Like I said before, we're going to go and just pick each string individually. That way, you're looking for all those real nice, crisp notes. Once you get those notes sounding really good, we're going to do a little strumming. And what we're going to do, we're just going to strum 4 times. and they're all going to be downstrokes, no upstrokes. And when you're strumming and when you're just picking, you don't want to hold the pick really tight because it'll give you a really harsh, just really bad sound. You know, just lightly hold the pick, and it's just a really smooth, just do a really smooth motion. So what we're going to do, we're just going to do 4 downstrokes with this E chord. Right, so I'll count us in. Right. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right. Rest your hand for a minute. Let it stretch it out because it's going to be uncomfortable. Like I said, your fingertips are going to hurt, and eventually you'll get calluses to form on your fingertips, and that'll actually improve the quality of the sound that's coming out of your guitar when you do these chord shapes. So let's go back to the E chord. We're going to strum 4 times again. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right. Now we're going to go. We're going to give you a second chord to work on. This one here is going to be the A chord. Show the little diagram here. You should have been emailed this. There again, same thing. This diagram, if you're looking at it, represents the fretboard, you know, of the guitar. Something I didn't explain on the E chord, you have these X's and zeros up here at the top. If there's an X above a string, like this one here, there's an X above the number 6 string. That indicates that you do not strum that particular string. And an O simply means that the string is an open string. You know, so there's no fingers touching those strings, but you do play those open notes. All right. So what we're going to do, we're going to go back to the E chord here. And this is a way to switch from E to A pretty quickly. If you notice, this one uses your pinky. So we got on string number 4 is your second finger. String number 3 is your third finger. String number 2 is your number 4 finger. So what we're going to do, if you go from the E chord here, simply lift up your index finger, and then you're going to move these 2 fingers down from 5 and 4 string to 4 and 3. And then you're just going to add your pinky onto the second string. And all of those are going to be on the 2nd fret. I was telling you earlier how your fingers might be cramped in there. This one, they really get cramped. Like I said, if we have an X above a particular string in the chord diagram, the chord chart, we do not play. So we're not going to play this note up here. We're going to start right here on the 5th string. And like the E chord, we're going to go and pick each string out individually. That way we can hear if we have, you know, if one of our fingers is touching another string that might be causing it to mute it or to give us a sour note. So we're going to go. And you may even be able to hear my fingers are kind of touching strings that they shouldn't be, and it's kind of giving it a little bit of a buzz. So once you get a pretty clean, crisp sound, we're going to go ahead and strum 4 times again, and these are all going to be downstrokes. So we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4. And again, when you're strumming, just a really smooth, you don't have to, just this real smooth motion. You don't have to press down real hard. All right, now we're going to go back from the A chord, go back to the E chord. You're just going to move your pinky, take your number 2 and number 3 finger, and just bring them up 1 string, and then put your index finger back on the 3rd string of the 1st fret. And on this chord, we strum all of the strings. So let's do that 4 times. So if you got your E chord, we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4. Now I'm sitting here thinking about it. If you're not real familiar with things, you may have a tendency to hold your guitar like this so you can see what you're doing. All right, and I don't want you to get into the habit of doing anything like that, because if you're ever standing up playing the guitar, it needs to be upright like this. And it also puts your wrist in a very uncomfortable, awkward position, you know, if you have your guitar strings pointing up. You know, so always try to remember, you know, to place this part of your guitar on your knee. And if you need to, you can get something to kind of prop your foot up on to kind of give you a little more stability. So let's go back to the E chord. We're going to strum the E chord 4 times. And then we're going to change over to the A chord and strum it 4 times. And I'll give just a pause in between so everybody can get your fingers in the position they need to be in. All right, so the E chord again is 1st finger, 3rd fret of the 3rd string of the 1st fret. 2nd finger is 5th string, 2nd fret. 3rd finger is on the 4th string of the 2nd fret. All right, so once you've got that, we are going to strum 4 times, all downstrokes. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now then we're going to swap over to the A chord, which was taking your index finger up off the fretboard, moving your number 2 and number 3 fingers down 1 string, and then adding your pinky to the 2nd fret of the 2nd string. All right, so once you've got that, we're going to play that chord 4 times. And remember, we don't touch. We don't pick the top string, the E string. And what you can do, you can kind of take your thumb and just barely touch that number 6 string to kind of mute it. That way, even if you do accidentally strum that string, it's not going to make any sound. So that is your A chord. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4. Then we're going to go back to E. So take your pinky up off the fretboard, move your number 2 and number 3 fingers up 1 string each, and then put your number 1 finger on the 3rd string, 1st fret. We're going to do that 4 times again. 1, 2, 3, 4. And I know this sounds really, really repetitive, but that's what it requires to, get that muscle memory that we're looking for. I can change from chord to chord pretty quickly because my fingers just know where to go. I have been playing for a little while now, and speed will come. Being able to change from one chord to another, that will come in time. You do have to practice. I can't stress enough. It's not going to come overnight. You have to practice. And what I tell my students is, all I want you to do is practice at least 5 minutes a day. That's all it takes. Because what you'll find is, you start practicing for 5 minutes a day, an hour later you'll still be playing. And you'll wonder, where did that time go? So let's go back to the E chord again. So, number 1 finger on the 3rd string at the 1st fret, number 2 finger on the 5th string of the 2nd fret, and then your 3rd finger on the 4th string, 2nd fret. Well, let's do that 4 times. Let's change it up and let's do it 8 times. So I'll give you a second to get that chord shape into position. Remember, try to keep those fingers, keep them arched up. Because like I said, if you flatten your fingers while you're trying to, get this chord in place, you're just going to have some really horrible sounding results. So, try to get those fingers up and arched over. All right, we're going to do 8 downstrokes with the E chord, then we'll go to the A chord, and we'll pause in between so everybody can get the A chord down, and then we'll do the A chord 8 times as well. All right, so here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And we're going to switch over to the A chord. Take your index finger off the fretboard, your 2nd and 3rd string fingers down 1 string, and then you add your pinky to that 2nd string, 2nd fret. Give you a second to get that. Remember, we don't play the top string on the A chord. We start on the 5th string here. So we'll do it 8 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then we're going to go back to the E chord. And we're going to do it 4 times. Remember, it's just simply taking your pinky off the fretboard, your 2nd and 3rd fingers go up 1 string, and then you place your number 1 finger, 3rd string on the 1st fret. And we're going to do this one 4 times. And this is the E chord, so we do strum the top string. 1, 2, 3, 4. And there's a lot of songs that are played that do, use just a couple of chords. So what I want you to do, your homework for this week and this coming up week until next Friday, I want you to practice these two chords. Practice chords, practice switching between the chords. Like I said, in time, speed will come. It'll just become a lot easier to know exactly, to get your fingers to go where they need to go. So we're just going to just practice. If you want to practice downstrokes, if you want to practice some upstrokes, you can try your hand at that. But right now, I just want to encourage you to, really mainly focus on your downstrokes. So let's go do the E chord 4 times, A chord 4 times, then back to the E chord 4 times. I'm going to speed up just a little bit, and I'm not going to pause as much in between the chords. So just follow along as best as you can. So we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. And you could write a song out of those 2 chords. Well, until next week, we'll go over a few more chords next week, and until then, just practice your E chord and A chord and switching in between them. We'll see you next Friday.